Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, so I wanted to update you a little bit on what I've been working on and how I'm staying productive while being quarantined. Depending on who's watching this video, I'm sure that we're going to have in the next few days or within the next week maybe, probably some sort of conference call and catch up with each other a little bit, and I'd like to see what all of you are working on to stay productive right now. I sort of realized that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, potentially, to sort of work on things that I otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to work on. Business has been slow, and since everything's sort of locked down right now, I'm really trying to make the most out of this. Even if the stuff that I'm doing doesn't really interest you, I'll get past this stuff pretty quickly. I'm partially doing this because I want to create a record, something that I can look back at and sort of see where I was and compare it to where I am in the future. So this might seem a little bit self-indulgent at the beginning here. I have this notebook here, but I didn't start working on this right away. I started, as you can see here, 2-3, so this is the beginning of February. I was using a different notebook, and I was keeping track of classes that I was taking and projects that I was working on. But when I eventually switched to this notebook, I went back and retroactively added some of these projects in here, just so I could see where I started in February, and then I can see where I end in, who knows, June, July, August, maybe next year. What I've been doing with it, on the left side, I'm tracking which technologies I'm learning. I got a whole bunch of stickers. I'm just trying to make use of them. So now on the right side here, these tomatoes, each one of these tomatoes represents a half hour that I spent taking a class. I know this video is really blurry, you can't read this, but I have each of these labeled with what I was learning for each of these half-hour periods. I was using something called a Pomodoro timer, and I believe that's Italian for tomato. What you do is you start the timer and you work on a project or take a class for a half hour, and then once the timer goes off, you get up, you walk around for 5 minutes, and you come back to it. It's supposed to help you, I guess, retain the information and not get so overwhelmed and stay productive. So I tried that for a while and it worked out pretty well. So I was tracking my time, so to speak, there. Now you can see the symbol changed on this side because now I started learning a technology called Vue.js. It's a JavaScript web framework, one of the big three right now. And so for each half hour, I spent working on a Vue project. For each half hour, I would draw the Vue logo, which is this one right here. It's built on top of Node.js, and it's a part of the web stack where you need JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, MongoDB, or in my case, MySQL, Express, Vue.js, and Node.js. So each one of these, again, represents a half hour. This right here is Coda. This represents a half hour I spent working on a Coda and Airtable application. And then moving on, again, you can see back to the up here, I sometimes will just do squares or circles. As you see that I go on more, I start doing that. But again, each one of these tomatoes here represents a class, where this represents a Vue project and this represents who knows what, but it's not a class. Classes are always tomatoes. So you can see I moved on. The stickers on the left always show what technologies I'm learning or working on, and I have notes about it as well as how many hours. I tally them up at the end. Again, I have the GIMP logo because I was doing a lot of, I was learning to use GIMP. I was doing a lot of image manipulation to work on some visual stuff on the website. So moving on, I'm not going to pause it after each one, but you see I've been consistent with this. I've been coding every single day, working on a project every single day, tallying my hours every day, and now this is where I left off. I put the stickers in here because over the next couple of days, these are the technologies that I'm going to be working with, which is the MEVN stack, MySQL. That's I'm working on a project right now called, it doesn't really have a name, but I guess you could say My Vue.js on Firebase. So that's what this is right here, and it's blank because I have to fill it up. So I think that's something like 500 hours I've spent so far. It's really cool to see that materialize. This is the actual notebook I'm using, but as far as the learning aspect goes, I stocked up on books before this started. So right here we have the reference books. This board right here, I'm actually taking a picture of this board every other week and tracking which technologies I'm learning and working on, and I'm saving those as slides. So it's really cool to see how they move around and where my focus is changing. I could look back at it a year from now and maybe hopefully laugh at where I was at this point in time. These are the books that I've finished since we've been under quarantine. These are 2 books where I haven't started yet, but I'm going to get to them. And then these 2 books right here, I'm working on simultaneously. I've been working on a lot, probably more than I should do, to retain the information properly. I've also recently taken all of the logos from all of the services that I use with my company, and I've sort of aggregated them with a URL, an embed link, just to make them more easily accessible for my website. This is the website I put up recently, and I still have some more work I have to do on it. It's nowhere near perfect, but I have these little modals pop up, and it gives you some more information about the service that we integrate with. And this is by no means the final version of the website, but it's a starting point. I'm happy with how it turned out because this is the first project that I built in Vue.js. The first project that I've built and published, I should say. So now some of you may have seen this. So on the left side, we have the new version of it. On the right side, we have the old version of it. So as I've learned more, I've sort of cleaned it up a little bit, and I'm trying to use this as a hub to track projects that I'm working on and somewhere to publish projects. So on the left side, again, is the new version. Right side is the old version. And you can see that with the old version, put a little bit of HTML in here. And as you can see, once you overflow this box, you really can't access anything. What this was built for was rendering HTML so that you can see what an email is going to look at if you want to stylize the email before you send it out. So I figured I wanted to clean this website up a little bit. I might as well fix this because I wasn't happy with how it was working. So now you can see the new version, I actually fixed the overflow so it has the scroll bar. So little minor things like that I've been working on. I built a URL shortener, which is going to go up here, but I haven't actually hosted it yet. Hopefully in the next couple days. But you can see these are all websites that I own, and I'm working on all of them in one way or another. Some are on the back burner. You can see that I removed a whole bunch of these, and I colored the ones that aren't in use as gray. Also, this services page, you can see it doesn't even pop up on this old version. But on this one, I have it set up so you can actually fill a card up with services that you want to order. And it's not the nicest looking page, but you can then check out, and you can see it's in test mode right now. There we go. So I would just have to turn test mode off, but I also don't feel like this is ready to be live yet. I'm trying to do this website for my new automation company, and then this website for my debt collection services and portfolio, so to speak. And I might change this up a little bit in the future, but that's the thought process right now, at least. When I first started coding applications, I was using a language called C# with the Microsoft .NET framework. It's Microsoft's language. And one of the first things that I built was a talk-off calculator. It was a WinForms application. WinForms is just like the old outdated Microsoft applications. And that's what I was building in. So the first real application that I built that I guess you could say was a production quality application was this talk-off. It was a talk-off calculator that I then expanded on so that it would actually save the information. So if someone's payments bounced, we would have the information digitized. It did a whole bunch of little things that got rid of a lot of the secretarial work from my office. So now that I learned a new framework, Vue.js, which is a JavaScript framework, I'm working on rebuilding it, and I haven't stylized it yet. But I actually haven't even added the math functions either. But this is just another side project. I want to see if I can rebuild the project that I did in .NET. I have a million of these little projects at the moment. Something else that I think is really cool, it keeps me motivated at least, is that when I look at my GitHub page, I see that so far in 2020, less than halfway through the year, I already have 418 contributions. So, it doesn't, in theory, I guess it doesn't really mean a whole lot, because you could submit contributions every time you save your project if you want. But I think it's a reasonable, visualization of how much you're active when you're coding. Because if you don't code, what this essentially is like, it's version control. So if you mess your project up, you need to be able to revert it back to how it was. And if you save the project as a new file each time you make an update to it, you're going to fill up your hard drive really quick. So this is how version control is handled. So that's 418, I believe that would be commits, probably. I don't know how they calculate this exactly. Back in 2019, when I was doing C# and .NET throughout the entire year, and it looks like I started, my guess would be probably late April. And throughout the entire year, I only made 124 contributions. So a good portion of this really has been since this quarantine started. You can see how much more activity there is here. So it's really cool to be able to see that and have it sort of correlate with the notebook I've been keeping. What I'm working on doing right now, which some of you might find interesting, assuming that you're one of the people who's already subscribed to my channel for the normal things I typically do, is I'm working on building, I guess you could say, a debt collection platform, which is going to be aimed towards the home-based startup, the single-man agencies. Because besides the fact that I feel there's just no good software, debt collection software available right now, I still will always recommend Collections Max, even though it's far from ideal, but I feel like it's the best place to start, especially when you have a low budget. Or what I would like to build is something that can sort of sit on top of Collections Max, in the sense that if you're using Collections Max currently, but you want to add additional functionality, you can do that. If you don't already use Collections Max, you can use it as a standalone program, but not have the multi-agency functionality. So it's going to have its own database, but I'm also trying to make it essentially I'm trying to retrofit it so that it can communicate with the Collections Max database as well. So that's the project that I'm working on. That's sort of been the big one in the pipeline. And then since automation is really where my focus is right now, I'm also, and I know I have way too many projects going on right now. I'm trying to work on prioritizing. But the other thing that I'm working on is what I'm thinking of as like a first pass project. You buy a portfolio, you take a placement, and before you even place it out with an agency, or before your agency even starts calling it, what you would do is you would run it through this program, which will then, I don't want to go too much into detail about it until I actually have it, but it's something I'm really excited about. Essentially, it will find the quick, easy money in the portfolio for you. It'll have sort of like a scoring process, the ability to communicate with the people, the ability to process payments. So it'll be a gateway connector, a database connector, a scoring algorithm, and it's really hard to explain without going too far into detail, but I don't want to go off on that type of tangent. So that's sort of the big project that I'm working on, and today I'm excited because I'm working on integrating the back end, the database integration with the front end. So there's actually going to be a visualization to it where it's going to capture functional, like active data from your database. So I'll keep you guys afloat on how that project is going as I make progress. I sent out a survey recently. I think we got 5 responses back. So if you haven't filled that out already, please do fill it out. And we'll have the call maybe in the next couple days or so. I would really like to get a couple more people if possible. So if you're sort of on the fence about it, or if you want me to relink that survey, let me know and I'll send it in the Slack group. Finally, if you're not part of the group yet, what you can do is you can go to this URL right here. I'm going to put it in the description. It's coda.io/@Bob/how to become a debt buyer, with a dash between each word. In this article right here, I answer a whole bunch of very basic questions. I link to the original version of the same article that I wrote many years ago. All of this is updated. It has a lot of questions to common questions that you might have if you're just looking to get into the industry. It points you in the right direction. And these are the questions that I was being asked over and over that caused me to start making a lot of these videos and to write this article. So please read through this. And to join the group, once you're done reading this, there's this link at the bottom here where you can fill out this form to join the Slack group. So if you're interested in joining the Slack group, that's how you do it. I'll link this again below in the description. Please make sure that you fill that out if you want to join the group. I won't be responding to emails asking me how to join the group. Unfortunately, I receive far too many of them to be able to keep responding to them. Other than that, I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you're staying safe, and I look forward to meeting with you soon.